Namaste, Jai Hind everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Eagle's View. Today we are going to do an analysis of the Israel-Hamas conflict, or popularly called as the Israel-Palestine conflict. So we have a lot of lessons to learn here. One thing specific about, I'm not going to the details of the warfare, enough of information is available about it, who killed, who did, that's not the idea of this video. One thing we need to observe is the psychological warfare which was unleashed by Israel on its enemies, vice versa by Hamas on Israel and to the rest of the world. Second thing is the information warfare. So there is a terrorist attack followed by a military operation. So there is a mass bombing which Israel started on the third day of the war or of the conflict. But simultaneously, right from day one, there is a parallel war which was going on in the social media. Now we can just ignore it as a tweet or maybe a Facebook or an Insta post and move on, or what we get in WhatsApp. But if you open your mobile and if you keenly observe those first 48 hours to almost for the 72 hours, you would see whether you wish or you don't wish, whether you are part of such groups or not, you are being bombarded with unlimited amount of information. Either it is pro-Israel or it is pro-Hamas. So we have no connection with the war. One of us would not be a geopolitical observer, or he is not keen on geopolitics, but everybody uses a smartphone these days. So why do we get all these messages? So when we look at it, so there is a psychological campaign, a war unleashed by Hamas, not only against Israel, to again the Israel supporters and pro-Israel neutrality countries like India. What they did is they just broke, these are the famous sentences which you would have heard in the first 48 hours of the attack. Mossad is all hyped, Israel is not indispensable, their security is not indispensable. Hamas literally took on the mighty Mossad. People started speaking about Shin Bet. So Israel is doomed, Israel has been taken off, it was caught lying down. All these phrases, various phrases and various degree of intensity, you would have seen it. So that's the narrative which was built, and to an extent, a heat map shows Jews and even the Christian world across the globe, they started believing this narrative. Yes, there is a surprise which Hamas has sprung, there's no doubt about it. But comparing a terrorist organization with an established security protocol by a country like Israel, it doesn't sound any logic. So yes, this is one of the first of its kind of an attack, massive, happens after a gap of almost 50 years. That's all fine. But here the point is the propaganda warfare which Hamas. So here we can clearly say Hamas took the lead. They outnumbered and outperformed the Mossad and the intelligence agencies of Israel. And after 2 days, after 24 hours, Israeli Twitter handles, the official Twitter handles of Israel Defense Forces, IDF, Israeli War Room, and these handles become hyperactive. They were in turn supported and retweeted by the Western media. A lot of Indians also got into this bandwagon. So there was a lot of pro-Israel support, pro-Israel tweets, and there was a bit of a Hamas supported tweets and social media posts. So this was trending on for almost 5 to 7 days. Even the best of the incidents in the world, or even the worst of the incidents in the world, haven't trended this long organically for such a long time. Later, when Israel turned the table, when they started the so-called air raids on Gaza, there was a time Israel started building up the narrative. So if you keenly look at the Israeli leaders, right from the PM to their defense correspondent, to the journalist, to the military leaders, to the political leadership, opposition, irrespective of that, cutting across, everybody was saying, we are going to kill Hamas, we are going to kill the last soldier of Hamas, Hamas is ISIS, Hamas is going to be eradicated from the face of the world, Hamas is done and dusted, Palestinians has to watch, just flew away from this place, don't stay here, we are going to take ruthless action. So the choice of words was so intense, it led to something, the psychological war definitely has an impact on each and every one of us. So they have mastered in it. What actually happened is, day 3, When Hamas told that if you continue the air raids, we are going to execute each and every one of your hostage cold-bloodedly and publish it as a live video in all the social media. From such an hard stand of executing hostages if you bomb me, to an extent of releasing 2 American hostages, a mother and a daughter, and then saying that we are going to give peace a chance. Let's talk about prisoner exchange program. Your hostages are safe. Then they showed an Israeli woman, a young girl who's been nurtured and treated by a Hamas operative. So how did this change? It's not purely because of the bombing. Hamas, it's not new to Hamas. This has happened at various scales. This time the scale is a bit more higher. But they were sure when they are going to attack Israel, they are very much sure that this bombing is going to happen on them. What made them change this stand? It is not just the backdoor negotiations. Hamas by then was supported by Hezbollah. By then was openly supported by Iran. Many other countries. But the sheer psychological warfare done by Israel on Palestinians, on Hamas, literally made them to shift their stance. So now they are in a position to have these hostages in hand, treat them well, and to use them as an exit strategy for this war. So now here Israel takes an upper hand. They have extensively used bots, AI-enabled bots. They have extensively used, in a way it's not a honey trap, but they have used females, IDs, they go on. It adds up to the credibility. Overnight journalists who have been like IDs which got created, and they have been bombarding with photographs, how IDF conducts the operation. So this thing was going on. In the middle of this, Hamas wanted unification of all the radical terrorism organizations in the world. So what they did is, during the course of the attack, they were wearing the body cams, cheap Chinese body cams, GoPros and helmet cams. They recorded the action and they started releasing it in bits and pieces. In the way you build up a narration for a movie release. So this eventually gave a kind of uprising and a hope to all the terrorist organizations across the world. They started sharing, and Hamas very, very effectively used Telegram as a channel. You couldn't imagine. It may look like a pro-Israel channel in Telegram, but they were effectively propagating Hamas videos of how daringly they went inside Israel, how easily they breached the fence, how cold-bloodedly they murdered Israeli people. So this was creating more terror in the minds of people sitting like we are 4,000 kilometers away from Israel. It really shattered people here. There are a lot of people who requested not to publish these videos on YouTube. As a matter of policy, we don't do it. But we have, published few of these videos which we found to be authentic. We may be wrong in our Telegram and YouTube channel, but we stopped that as well. We cannot be part of the bigger propaganda game which these guys are trying to play. So they were too effective in it. Now comes an incident where a hospital was bombed and a lot of people got killed. We really don't know the number. It goes from Western media's estimate of 100 to Hamas supporting medias like Al Jazeera to up to 500. We really don't know. Whatever it is, it has to be condemned. But the time which the incident happened, 8 p.m. Local time Israel, from there till the next day morning, Israeli terrorist state or Israel terrorist or IDF terrorist was trending like wildfire. Millions of tweets. It created a complete outrage. How can they go and bomb hospital and kill innocent civilians? Israeli defense forces were caught off guard. They have to cut down the air raids. There was no air raids on the 2 days. Immediately they went and published a video. They picked up a videograph from Al Jazeera channel. They published it. And then they went on saying, no, this was not done by us. This was done by the jihadi outfit, Islamic Jihad, a sister organization of Hamas. Then this narrative and counter narrative went in. People took a hard stand. No, Israel has done it. Then somebody said, no, Hamas has done it. Then finally the US president, whose agenda was something else, to stabilize and not to get into a war, eventually has to go and support Israel that no, this was not done by you, it was done by somebody else. And he was supposed to travel to Jordan to meet the other Islamic country leaders to find a way out for this war. That meeting got cancelled because of the hospital bombing. Now here we can say it's wrong to score them, but it's a lesson for us. So it kind of settled that who did it, we really don't know. People who are pro-Palestine, they believe that Israeli did it, and vice versa. So Israel from there again reversed it. They took an upper hand in terms of psychological warfare. They effectively used bots, media, journalists, influencers. Then to a point that in day 14 of this 13 of this war, the world started believing that if at all these people are safe, that itself is enough. Forget about Palestinian sovereignty, forget about Palestinian rights. Let these people survive. Let not kill them more. There should not be more collateral damage. By then, Israel started building up the story of sending the ground forces inside, doing ground warfare in a build-up area. So this was going on. We are ready. Our three forces are ready. We have done our reconnaissance. We have done our aerial survey. We are going to go in 4 hours, 6 hours. This tempo was built up. This was again a classical example of a psychological warfare on Hamas. Not only Hamas, it's about the Palestinian citizens who are staying put in Gaza. At the end of this, now Israel has not done the ground operation yet. It is yet to start. I hope it doesn't happen ever. But the narration now they have started building up is about the exit strategy. Now, okay, we have eradicated Hamas. We are not going to spare them. Each and every Hamas guy is going to get killed. We will then recall all the refugees inside Gaza. We are not going to administer or monitor Gaza. We'll think of who will be the right people to rule Gazans. Now imagine Hamas very much exists. They are in Gaza. They are elsewhere in Arab countries. They are in Qatar. They are in Syria, Iraq. Every possible country Hamas does exist. It's impossible for Israel to go and kill each and every Hamas guy. It's impossible. But the narration today the world started believing is it's end of Hamas now. Mossad has got back his glory. Israel has got back his glory. Now who will govern it? Israel is now a responsible nation planning for a decent exit. So now the PM Abbas, the West Bank side of it, we will give it to them to rule and all. So these things are going on. Now, when this such kind of warfare is unleashed on India, do we have an answer? Do we have the mechanism to counter it? Do we have a mechanism to launch a counter operation? Classical example, Balakot airstrike was announced by the air chief. In moments after, the Pakistanis along with Turkey, they started trolling and then they made a narrative in less than 3 hours that no, this strike itself is fake. The aircrafts never entered. They just bombed on some forest areas. They destroyed some trees and went back. No Pakistani got killed. No terrorists got killed. It was a wasteful Indian operation. In fact, we shot down a MiG pilot, a MiG aircraft, and we took Wing Commander Abhinandan as a captive. The entire world started believing this narrative. And then later by around 2 p.m., Air Force again has to come out with a photo of an empty shell or a broken part of a F-16 aircraft that they went and claimed that no, we have now shot down an American aircraft which the Pakistanis were using. But clearly in the 2 days, Pakistan had literally taken us off. We need to appreciate them in that particular point that they took us off guard. They ruled the social media. They had set the narrative and the propaganda by then was done. Then later on we have to again substantiate with a lot of facts. There are a lot of other countries, foreign friendly nations and also we can release a video footage. Later on it took a political turn. We had politicians like Kejriwal who said it's questionable, we don't know, give us the proof or not. So later it got used for elections. One more example, we can go back to 2010 I suppose, where a rumor was spread in Bangalore about northeastern people. And northeastern people suddenly at large exodus, they just ran away from northeast and it was a massive exodus. And the reason began when it was investigated was closed down to 5 lakh SMS, bulk SMS which originated in Pakistan and parts of Turkey, which was bombarded, 5 lakh, and then government later on went and banned the bulk SMS. You can't send bulk SMS. Same thing happened with WhatsApp. Now we restricted, you cannot forward it to more than 5 people. Earlier it was unlimited number of forwards. We saw that the same narration was happening in Article 370. People who are not aware of it, the Western world, especially the Islamic world, was made to believe that it was a minority persecution. Same thing happened in farm protest. It started as a farm protest of one particular state, then it became 2, then it became anti-Sikh, and then it went to call it as a Sikh genocide. The government couldn't do anything about it. Then we had Galwan, fresh in our memory. The narrative, the way the Chinese had built up a narrative that Indian soldiers have kneeled down, they have been arrested, they have been begging for life. So much of videos were circulated in the social media. By then, that our army and the thing, they started releasing few videos here and there. But again, it was not an effective counter-narrative measure. We don't have it. It's a pure fact. You can quote an incident where cite examples with facts that where we have succeeded in it, but this is clearly a grey area where we need to follow. Now, which are the agencies which take care of this? We have CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team. So you would have got all this National Alert SMS and all, which is basically done by these guys. And we have the NISC, National Information Security Council. Both are very young organizations. But do we have the skill set? Is it possible for a IAS or an IPS officer to do all these things, upgrade him or her technologically, understand how this entire PSY works and information warfare works? It requires technocrats, it requires techno soldiers, it requires lot of expertise from outside. So do we have all this is a bigger question. When something like this, where we have actually went and bombarded Pakistan, we actually literally screwed them. When we were the only country to stand up to China and engaged in a physical combat and showed them a very tough lesson, later on in Yangtze, we showed them a very tough lesson. But in the social media platform, in the way it is perceived, we are continuously either losing the perception battle or we are trying to defend the wrong perception which was created on us. Both is equally dangerous for us, and we should also have the capability to launch a counter-narrative operation. Another example I can give you is the sad demise of former CDS General Bipin Rawat. His death in Ooty, there was kind of uneasiness, people were so eager and they were expecting there will be a good news. But that time the Pakistanis and the Turkeys, they picked up a video graph of a Syrian war where a Syrian rebel shot down an I think it's an American chopper. They linked that, and then they, it was circulated in the social media and WhatsApp that LTT was behind this attack. This is a resurgence of LTT. The LTT doesn't exist now. It doesn't even exist on papers right now. So that's how the narration was built. Later, a lot of people who are like on social media, we went online, we went on Twitter, we said no this. But the reach of an individual or an individual influencer is limited. Either the government should have a collective strategy of engaging with all the influencers, the social media freaks, and we have a lot of influencers who can actually, set the narrative for you or defend the truth for you, whichever way it is. We are yet to find a mechanism. At least I am yet to see such a mechanism that exists for our country. So, how does it matter? Galwan is the best example. There are hundreds of messages to me and to my people, my friends in army. Are we really losing? Are we really capable of fighting? It is a classical example of making your citizens lose faith on your armed forces. That creates a massive damage. If the country's most, in India, the most respected profession is the armed forces. If people lose faith on your armed forces, then it's not, half the battle is already lost. So it is that critical, it is that serious. Hope the government will put a robust plan in place and update the Information Technology Acts, which is completely outdated, which was done way back in 1996 or 97, where the 2G itself was not present. Today the era has changed. Social media is a big monster. How do we tame it is a massive question we have in front of us. Banning things doesn't work. Banning a BBC documentary doesn't work. Banning a movie doesn't work, because if you go to Telegrams, do a simple bot search, you can get all the high definition print of that particular banned document, books, anything you want which is banned, you can get it on your mobile. It is that fast, and we need to update. Dark web and deep web, it's a different story. We will speak about it. So in our channel, one of our subject matter expert in open source intelligence, his name is Sai Kiran. I'll give the Twitter handle also for your reference. He will come and speak about how the deep fakes were effectively used by Hamas in this particular Israeli concept. Do we have an answer for deep fakes and AI generated images? We are yet to see the light. Thank you all. Jai Hind.